Hello everyone, welcome to the Green Man channel, hope you're all good and well. So time for an album review this Friday. I'm actually reviewing an album I intended to review a week or two ago, but I'm only getting around to it now. And this is actually a collaboration between two artists, those being Midwife and Vyva Melinkolya. And this is their release Orbweaving, which came out on the 12th of May earlier this year via the Flenser. And the album is 5 tracks and about 32 minutes in length. So this is a very ethereal, very beautiful, slightly eerie sounding album. That has a sound with, there's quite a lot of use of distortion in the tracks, but it's pretty buried in the mix. So the overall mix is never kind of overbearing, everything is quite soft. And yeah, it's a very captivating album, I think, with some very memorable vocal parts within it as well. And it's an engaging experience that, almost made me think sometimes that the 32 minutes felt a little short for what the album was offering. And clearly a good chemistry, I think, happening between these two artists respectively. So it was interesting reading up actually about the inspiration or how this album came about, the collaboration between these two artists, who apparently became friends, I think, during the pandemic, and actually went on a couple of trips together searching for, or doing something called herping, which I read up about on the Bandcamp page, which is apparently searching for snakes and amphibians or something, I read, and also they went searching for spiders. So that makes sense with some of the title of some of the tracks, like the track Orbweaving, and it just conjures up imagery in your mind, and it helps the album overall to make sense and to give you that sort of sensory experience almost, that really kind of, after I read that, it made me understand the album a little more and enjoy, as I say, the overall experience that this album offers to you as a listener. Let's go into the tracks a little bit more of this kind of pretty ambient sort of shoegazey album. The album opens up with a track called Miss America, which is, has this kind of progression throughout of these clean guitar notes. When the vocals come in, they are very soft, as they are throughout a lot of this album, but they're also discernible, and you can hear what the vocalist is singing still, which isn't always the case in a lot of shoegaze albums, but certainly in this one you can hear the singing. And it's a pretty straightforward track, this one, to be honest. Possibly not one of my favourites on the whole album, but still a pretty solid way to start off this album. I really liked the next track called Hounds of Heaven, which just has this really memorable vocal line that repeats a few times during it, where they're sort of singing the hounds of heaven run like hell. It's just a really warm, captivating and yet beautiful, kind of wistful vocal line that provided for me one of the sort of comeback moments for the album. It's followed by another track with some good vocal moments on called NMP, with lots of careful and subtle manipulations in sound check textures, and also I think some use of feedback as well that's controlled though. And it's kind of one of those tracks you can tell what a lot of time and precision has gone into it, and it's a good middle track on the album, I think, to bridge to the next one, which is called Plague X. Another really cool track, offering something perhaps that's a little bit lyrically busier than the other tracks that came before, I think. And actually, again, another favourite track of mine next to Hounds of Heaven, I think, so far up to this point on the album. But then the album closes with this 12-minute, beautiful, more soundscape style track. There's not really much of a melody in the track, but it's one of those ambient tracks, I guess, a little like, reminds me of a style of a track maybe by Brian Eno or an artist like that. And it's just, first time around you listen to it, you might think, oh, it's just an ambient track, but you kind of realise some of the subtle, what I might call elevations in sound as you go through the track, and it just makes for a really beautiful ending to the album. It feels like, you are wandering on this journey through the wilderness and you are soul searching, and the album is kind of left a little bit open in that way, but I think it's the perfect ending to what this album is, the meaning behind it, or what it feels like from what I've read, the meaning behind it. And it's very, very, really nice track to end the album on. If anything, I would say this album, actually, because the collaboration obviously here works well, I might have liked to have heard them exploring a couple more songs or adding a couple more songs to the album. I think would have actually strengthened it with, some more memorable vocal moments perhaps between the two artists here. But just adding a little bit more to the album itself, I think would have enhanced or just given a bit more to what is already an enjoyable experience of an album, as I say, but I think it would have made it even more of a really engaging and captivating listen to come back to and everything. But as it is a really for me a really good release that I thoroughly enjoyed listening to. It's just that kind of an album that, if you're a shoegaze or fan of ambient music, I think you'll really enjoy this, and it's one that you definitely want to check out. I'm going to give this an 8 out of 10. I think it's a great little album. As I say, I think it could have been enhanced even more by just the addition of a couple more tracks in the style of some of the earlier tracks, but keeping that fantastic 12-minute journey of a track at the end. So yeah, this is an 8 out of 10 for me. But yeah, that's my review done for this collaboration album between Midwife and Vyva Melinkolya. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the review. Just to add, so there's a couple of other videos coming up this weekend. Tomorrow is a premiere video of my next horror films first watch tier list. So hope you join me 8 PM UK time. So maybe a different time for you depending on where in the world you are. But do join me for that, particularly if you're a horror movie lover. I look forward to seeing you there for that premiere. Otherwise, I am also planning another album review for the new Jag Panzer album, the power metal band, kind of slash heavy metal band, and intending to do another album review in follow-up to that as well, but haven't yet decided what that will be. Otherwise, from me, thanks everybody. Don't forget to drop a sub, support the channel, all that kind of stuff. Otherwise, from me, take care until next time. Bye for now.